Dear viewer, no, time is not the fourth dimension. Alright, let's get into the video.
Well, hello there. I have something I want to show you. Look, it's a board game. But it's not just any board game. This is one of my favorites, because you play with balls. You build a pyramid using balls. You stack all the balls, just like this, and then you get 1 point for every ball you've placed. Hooray! Now I know what you're thinking.
Simulated gravity? This actually looks really easy. Placing balls is not that hard.
Now, that's easy for you to say. I still have arthritis from my Logitech controller. Either way, there are rules as to what you can actually place. And all of these rules are just kind of randomly generated by the draw of cards. Notice how all the balls have different colors? Well, that's actually rather relevant. You see, there might be a rule that says white and black are not allowed to touch. And if you get this rule, well, white and black can't touch. But what happens if you break the rule? Well, you just lose 2 points. That's about it. The game isn't really complicated at all. You just build a pyramid and follow the rules. Which sorta just leads me to my question. Why is this game called Dimension?
Oh, well, it's because there are 3 dimensions and you build the pyramid and you have to think about the spatial awareness of the balls and the position.
Like, then shouldn't the game be called Dimensions? Think, viewer, think! It's not like 3D space is hard to understand. We live in a 3D world. If you struggle to play 3D games, then you might as well give up now, right? You see, I'm not like other YouTubers. I've played 4D golf, which means I know a thing or two about higher dimensional universes. And I think I could make this game, but actually with one more dimension. To, actually give it a meaningful name. So I did a little bit of coding off camera, and now we have a 4D pyramid. You might be thinking, this doesn't look 4D, nor does it look like a pyramid. And that's because it isn't, either of them. Okay, let me break it down for you. Let's say we have a 3D pyramid. How would you try to explain this to a 2D person? To do it, we'd want to bring the 3D pyramid into the 2D space. Now we can do this by taking a look at the layers of the pyramid. Notice how it has a bottom layer, a middle layer, and a top layer? Well, if we separate these layers, we can place them next to each other, and then it's all in a 2D space. While this shape in itself is just 3 piles of balls, it represents a 3-dimensional pyramid. And we can do the same thing with our 4D pyramid. We can turn it into these 3 clumps of balls, which are the layers of the pyramid placed next to each other. Of course, ideally I'd give you a real pyramid, but this isn't really possible considering that your screen is 2-dimensional, and it's impossible to put a 4-dimensional object on a 2D screen. Well, it could be possible, but it would be ridiculous. Since the layers have been separated, it's pretty hard to tell what's touching what. So, I made it so that when you select a ball, all the touching balls turn green. And yeah, it feels kind of weird to constantly use a variable called touching balls in my code, but it's necessary for the code to run. So how exactly did I end up getting to this shape in particular? Well, if you place a ball on top, you might notice that it has a red outline. Now that's because it is floating right now, and that's not allowed. You see, this very right ball represents the top layer of the pyramid, and obviously you can't have a ball in the top layer with nothing underneath it, it would just fall. So we're gonna have to put some balls underneath it. Now in 3D you would need 3 balls in order to prop up a ball. However in 4D you need 4. Yeah, it's literally just the amount of dimensions. So if we put 4 balls underneath, everything is still floating, and this is because we need a bottom layer. And for every single one of these 4 balls in the middle layer, we need 4 balls underneath that in order to support it. And that's how we get this shape here. You see, the middle ball in the bottom layer is actually supporting every single ball above it. But if you think about it, that's exactly the same as in the 3D pyramid. Well, it looks like I only have one more thing to explain. Why do we have 6 colors and 4 balls of each? If you look down at the bottom tray here or whatever, there's a bunch of balls with a counter of how many you have left. I wanted to have 24 total balls because there are 18 balls in the pyramid, and that way you have 6 left over. But why did I want 4 balls of each color? Well, think about this. How many balls can fit into the middle layer of this pyramid? The answer is, of course, 4. You can just count that. But how about this? How many balls can you put in the bottom layer in a way that they don't touch each other? The answer is 4. And you can just keep doing things like this, and you'll just keep getting 4 as an answer. Realistically, under most rules, there's no way you can place 5 of one color, which is why I decided to settle for 4. Well, let's not bore you to death, and let's play an actual game now, shall we? I did a little bit of coding off camera, and now we have a rule system that works. Every single card here is its own script, and the level of object orientation in my code probably needs to be studied by future generations. Either way, we can get right into it. Alright, so green isn't allowed to be on top of any balls, which means we have to put it at the bottom layer. And green has to touch red, so we're gonna have to put some red next to the green. Now red and black are not allowed to touch, which means we have to keep those away from each other. So I came up with this solution. You put red on one side, black on the other, and some green in the middle. Now it says white needs to touch black, and there needs to be exactly 2 white in the pyramid. So we can place the white in the second layer, and it's touching the black for sure, but through the 4th dimension, so it's not very clear. And then we just need to add a lot of yellow, because there needs to be more yellow than green, and we can just put a purple one in there because that way we have all the colors. And it's time to score the points! Yes, I know this is a different pyramid. Either way, I decided to make it so that you gain 10 points for every ball you place, and you lose 30 for every rule you break. So we get 180 points, because we placed 18 balls and we didn't break any rules. Wait a minute! Board games are supposed to be multiplayer, and right now you can only play this game by yourself. Looks like I'm gonna have to add more players to my game. Normally in the board game, multiple people play at the same time and do the same set of rules. However, there's a problem with that, which is that how am I gonna get people to play this game at the same time? Now I could make it like online multiplayer, but I'm not doing that. Truth is, I've already got a system set up that's just pass and play, which is gonna be like super boring because you gotta wait like 10 minutes for everyone else to finish their turns. But hey, if you guys want me to add multiplayer, I'm gonna do that, but probably after this video comes out. Well, to make multiplayer, I had to make this super cool looking menu screen. And then you can open the menu and add up to 6 players. And you can give yourself a name, and if you name yourself Simulated Gravity, you become blue because I just felt like adding that. Anyways, so then you play the game one at a time, and once everyone's played, it shows everyone's scores, and then you play for a total of 4 rounds before somebody is the winner or not, because you could just have the same score. Not to worry, my friend, we have a fix for this, and it's called bonus points. Now the original game kind of has these, but they don't really prevent ties. However, my solution works better because this is a video game, not a board game, and I can do all the complex math I want without having to rely on the players to do it. So now when scoring, you also gain 1 extra point for every color you place, and 0.01 points for every second you have left on the timer, which means it's practically impossible to have the same score as someone else now. And if you were actually paying any attention, you'd probably have noticed that there was actually a sound to all the buttons I just pressed, and that's because, well, I added sounds to the game. I also added an absolute banger of a menu track, so yeah. Now honestly, what I have going is a functional game that you can play. It has sounds, looks, and, well, gameplay, that's the most important parts. I'm practically just gonna release it in the state that it is now. However, there's one issue. If you were to start up this game right now, you would have no clue how to play it, which means I'm gonna need some form of tutorial. So I quickly got to work, took a quick 5-month break, and then finished making this tutorial, which is basically just a glorified slideshow. It does, however, make watching this entire video completely useless.
The final step is simply to upgrade to a safer version of Unity because there was a security issue, then build it and upload it to itch.io, and then tell my viewers that they can download it today, but only for Windows because it takes up 8 GB of storage to have WebGL build support, and I'm kind of running low here. I need help. But all in all, I would say that this was quite a success. And I hope you have learned at least one thing about 4D space from my video, unless you already knew it all. See, recently I've actually been quite inspired to learn more about higher dimensional stuff because it's math and I'm pretty sure I have some form of autism. But currently, most people seem to not understand 4D at all, and I hope my video has inspired you to learn more. And with learn more, I do not mean watching that Brightside video. Please do not watch it. Anyways, this certainly was a lot of work. I most certainly will not be making another digital version of a board game ever again. Or am I?